All right, thanks everybody for coming. My name is Ayers. I'm with KDE Technology, and today we're going to chat about penetration testing, red teaming in general, and a little bit about the difference between what we see on TVs, the movies. As I'm sure you all know this one, two people typing on the same keyboard trying to fight a hacker, things that just can't happen. So like I said, my name is Lee. I am a certified ethical hacker. I have been in cybersecurity for 20 years, roughly. Wrote a book. It's doing pretty well. Everybody likes it. We have a good time. Pretty easy, laid back to get along with. Everything's pretty good. And we like to have fun at KDE Technology. You guys just stop by and see us. We just like to have a little bit of fun. We're always out there playing video games or doing something if there's no work to do, which isn't very often. Tony keeps us pretty busy. Runs a tight ship. So the reality versus the myth. This is, we've all acknowledged the talk shows here, the different things that we see in TV, the movies that often depict dramatic, incredible, high-stakes fighting, hacking. I'm sure any of you in cybersecurity, you already know that's rarely what we ever get to see. I wish it was like that. It would be a lot more exciting. And we probably all wouldn't have so much gray hair, but it is what it is. So in this thing here, what we see is, and it's a problem in general because people at home are sitting watching these movies and they think they understand what we're doing, or at least close to it. And then when we get out here in reality and we're not doing those things that they see us do, they're like, what's happening here? You don't have 37 screens and there's no graphics going on. I don't understand what's happening. So it's important to just make sure that people understand, the difference in the realities and the different things of that nature. So red teaming versus cybersecurity assessments. This is something that people mix up a lot. We would love to do a red teaming engagement every single job. That would be our ideal job, but it's not. It just doesn't work out that way. The majority of what we do is an assessment. And that's really the way it should be done, if we're being honest, right? So you come in, you get an assessment, see where you're at, see where your holes are. You spend a year, 6 months, whatever you need to fix it, get it up, get it going. You're good to go. Then you call us back. We'll come in and do a red team engagement and actually put it to the test. So that's the difference between those two. One is where we will just look around and point out where all your holes are. The other one will squeeze through the hole and see how far we can get. So there's a good bit of difference between the two, but people often mix those up. But red teaming is the fun part. That's the one we all love to do. That's the one where we get to scale this out of a building, climb through a window, pick a lock, whatever we can do. And you have to have a good team. My team is actually right here. So we'll start with Matt. He's right here. This is my red team here. This is Tony, and that's Jeff. That's my team. We're the ones that go out and, wreak havoc on someone's network. Maybe some of y'all's network. Soon. You never know, right?
Here we go.
So during red teaming, like I said earlier, we're simulating the adversary, right? We're not going to get any additional information from the customer before we go in. We're not going to get a list of IPs, subnets. We're not going to get any of that type of information going into this. We're going to try to find our holes, wherever that may be. If it's, in their networks, if it's they have a horrible lock on their door, we can get in and just jack straight into the server if they have some on-prem servers. Lots of different things that we can do. Now, red teaming, penetration testing in general, is not always physical. So we're not always out here breaking into a building or those things. Sometimes we're penetrate testing a website or, a platform of some kind. Something, maybe we're doing a communication lines where, we try to see if we can put enough noise in the lines to break communication. The answer is yes, by the way. We can, just in case. So that's really the difference there. And with an assessment, it's more focused in on that. So we will ask you for a lot of information prior to showing up to your place. We will get a list of all your subnets. We'll have them notated. We'll get, just all these things that we'll gather all that information from the customer prior to going in. We will still go put into the building, go in, sit down. They'll usually give us a conference room, and then when we sit down and we start scanning. And then we scan it. We look for vulnerabilities. If we find vulnerabilities, we may poke them a little bit, not too much, depending on the scope, right? So rules of engagement must be followed strictly. So, that really depicts a lot of the things we like to do. Sometimes we find something and we really want to run with it, but the rules of engagement don't allow us to do so we can't. We just have to log it and, have the fun with it that way. So, reporting. Raise your hand if you love writing reports. That's what I thought. We all hate reporting. And I know there's a lot of tools out there these days that will generate reports once you pump your data into it. They're pretty helpful, but they're usually ugly, to be honest. But reporting is the unsung hero, really, of it all. We notate everything that we found, everything that we've done, give them all kinds of information in that. We usually break it down a little more than just an executive summary, and then the technical details. We will often do 2 reports. One report that is for the upper management that has no idea what we're really talking about. So we try to explain that to them. And then the second report that we like to do, and that's for their team, their IT folks. And then we give that report to them so that they can get to work very quickly in patching those. We don't just say, hey, here's a hole. We let them know if the patch is available. Can they patch it? If there's not a patch, is there a workaround? What is their workaround? We make sure that they have everything they need to know to move forward to block that hole that's in their network or wherever it is. But reporting can take weeks. It can take a lot of time depending on the size of the job you do, the amount of data that we have to chew through once we're done with that. And sometimes it's because you're doing a really, really big job, and then sometimes it's because someone didn't know how to configure a network, and instead of having just 500 or 600 IP addresses, they have 2 million. And still think it's a good idea for whatever reason. I don't know, but that does occur. And those days are bad because you're not going to find anything way deep down in those subnets, but you got to scan them anyways, make sure you're doing your due diligence, and those scans will take hours, and it is so frustrating. So now we're just going to have this one. Sorry, it makes me laugh just thinking about it. So this is a little story time. I'm just going to tell you some things we found in the wild. This one here. So as a part of an assessment, what we do when we go in, we will interview the staff that works there. And we'll ask them multiple questions. We have a series of questions that we ask out. Actually, Tony does most of the interviewing. He will go in and just ask them all these things, notate all the answers. And thankfully I was in there too, because honestly, I don't know if anybody would have believed him if nobody else was in there. So Tony's asking this lady about her password, saying, what is a strong password to you? Like, how do you put together a strong password? And with a dead straight face, she looked at both of us and said, I used my social security number because nobody knows that. It has special characters already built in because of the dashes. I almost died. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, I'm thinking she's joking with us, but we're looking at her and she's like dead serious. That's when Tony steps up, because Tony's the guy, he's the smooth talker. He has to start talking to her because I'm just sitting there staring at her like, what? What is wrong with you right now? That one, that one was good. But she honestly thought that that was because it was long, it had special characters. She threw in, I think she said her initials, I think she said in there because it needed letters. Like she honestly thought that was it. Like she had cheated. Like she figured out a way around the whole remembering a unique hard password. She was very devastated when we explained to her that she most certainly should not do that, and she needs to change it right away, and hopefully, maybe get a new Social Security number because it's quite possible your Social Security number is on one of my word lists. Just saying. uh, Trojan staff, yes. So this one was actually from a red team engagement. This one wasn't from an assessment. This one, we were set out to do a bank. We went in, we do different things for banks. Some of them will have us do all the branches. Some of them will have us do just a couple of branches. Like, one, for instance, bank has a main branch and where their data center is, and they have a secondary branch somewhere else where their DR and stuff is. So we'll go and test both of those locations, different things. So on this particular job, we had decided to use social engineering to get into the building. Using my favorite trick is IT, because we had noticed that they used an MSP, and those MSPs would use local contractors, and it was often different people every day that would come in there to do IT work. So they had no chance of knowing if you were supposed to be from IT or not. So we quickly was able to mimic their uniform, get in there, came in, and so I walk in and I just tell them, hey, listen, I'm sitting down here. They said you guys had some slow computer issues because everybody thinks their computers are slow. So once you ask, say, if anybody has a slow computer issue, they're like, absolutely. They let you in. You fix a few things for them here and there. Little things that you can do. Sometimes just tricks. In this particular case, one of the tricks that I did was I used a thumb drive as RAM so that it gave it a quick boost. So when she sat down to use it, she was like, oh, this is so much better, right? Like knowing like the second she reboots, that's gone. Like this is never going to work. But it didn't matter. I didn't need it to last. I just needed to convince her that I was IT and I knew what I was doing. Once I did that, I gained the lady's trust. And then she walked me around and I helped other people. And after about half an hour of doing random IT work, even loading paper into a printer, they now trust me. Like I'm a part of their team. And so the bank branch manager unlocks the server room for me. And when I walk into the server room, I notice a server sitting on the floor. And I understand what that means. I know their specific protocols is that machine, those drives have to be removed and secured before that server can even leave the room, right? So that's why it's setting in the floor. You can't leave the room yet. So anyways, I said, oh, and by the way, I need to take that with me when I go. And he said, okay, not a problem. And in fact, he went and got a dolly for me because it was a very old, big server. And he helped me load it into my car. And it still had customer data on it. Like we had to take it back and put it into a safe so that we could, keep it safe because we were terrified of the data that was on that thing that this branch manager just helped me load into my car. Yeah. So the moral of that story is if someone tells you there's somebody, say okay, but then ask for ID. You need to see. Call somebody, make sure they're who they say they are because it might just be me or one of these guys. And so, yeah, the copier's secret. So we were on a job in Columbus, actually. And we were scanning through their network, these things, we're doing things. We found some scanning around. And Jeff notices that one of their copiers hasn't been updated. It's got the old firmware on it, which we're fully aware that there's a vulnerability on that firmware that's going to allow us to get the username and password in plain text off of that. So we thought, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. So Jeff fired up, what was it you used? Metasploit. Fired up Metasploit, pulled the credentials off the copier, and we walked into the conference room and tried to log into the computer with that, and yeah, logged right in. We're like, that's strange. That shouldn't happen. And then we start looking to see what we can get. And then we start to realize we've got administrative privileges. Well, a service account for a copier, straight up full admin privileges. And with that alone, we downloaded their payroll and everything else. Like, we fully breached. There was nothing stopped us at that point because someone put a full domain access service account on a copier. You know, silly little mistake, but man, it was fun for us. We were super excited when we saw that and started moving through and blasted through the rest of it. It was quite a bit of fun. So, all right, keys to the kingdom. This one here, we were doing a job, and the CEO had a bad habit of unlocking her door and leaving her keys hanging in her office door. And we had noticed that multiple times. So we obviously stole the keys, took a picture of it, put the key back in its place, made our own key. And come to find out, we thought we had a key to the CEO's office. We were wrong, because the CEO is a very busy person and she doesn't like to have multiple keys. So she has the master key. And that's what we had. So we literally had the keys to the kingdom there. We were able to go anywhere. There was not a door that key didn't open. It was like it was magic in that place. Yeah, so she would just have a master key hanging out in her door, not even in her office. Like, she was gone. Like, you know, it is what it is. But it's a funny story. It's you know, something you want to use to say that, to make sure that you don't use master keys for things like that. You know what I mean? While we should be restricting keys. But luckily, she's a great lady. She didn't know what she was doing, shouldn't have been done, and they took care of it all. They were great people. We loved them to death. And their place is so much more secure now. They were able to follow through with all of our recommendations. It was great. So, but that nonetheless, that could have been a very hard lesson to learn. You know, I mean, anybody walking by could have just snagged that key out, and then now you've literally got all the key to anything. It's just a little bit nuts there. So the usual suspects and our vulnerabilities. You know, we're going to just get back into the talk here a little bit, and there are a lot of vulnerabilities that we encounter throughout the things. A lot of them are known, some of them aren't known, but the unfortunate truth of it is 99% of the time, it is poor IT management practices that lead to the holes that allow us to poke through in there. And it's a network administrator who doesn't want to have a second account for their domain privileges. You know, they want to loop it all into one. Or, you know, just, you know, things of that nature. Shortcuts, things I like to take, turning God mode on and PowerShell, and because it's so much easier for them, but, you know, it's so much easier for us when we get into your network and that stuff's on. Like, it's, but poor IT management is a problem. And as we saw in the copier example, that is what that was. That was poor IT management. They didn't do what needed to be done. Now, it could have just been an accident. Maybe they didn't know. Or maybe they were troubleshooting and they had a problem, and for whatever reason, that copier couldn't connect to a shared network. And once they made it an admin, it worked. So they just walked away and left it because it was working. It could have been something as simple as that. But nonetheless, it was a major problem. And so you wouldn't believe, like, the places that you find credentials, the shared passwords, the things that we preach all the time. You actually see these things. We preach these to the standard people, and that's what everybody thinks, is that we're out here and we tell the average Joe, hey, don't reuse your password. Make sure it's long. Make sure it's strong. All these things. But what we see in reality and in practice is IT staffs will do these exact same things. Sometimes they're even worse at it. Because they know more, so they can do more critical workarounds that shouldn't have been done. So there's a lot at stake there with your IT team, and we all know IT staff and cybersecurity staff aren't always the same thing. Different professions, different things. They overlap. There can be a lot of overlap in the two, but you really need to make sure that there's somebody with the appropriate certifications that can ensure that your IT practices are safe and secure, and you're not putting your place in risk. What we got here? So yeah, there are consequences to these types of things. Vulnerabilities can be very costly. Data breach can lead to significant financial losses. Recovery costs, legal fees, regulatory fees, fines sometimes. I mean, you can easily, even a small business, and we know this one for a fact, within the tri-state area, after a ransomware attack, we're looking, I mean, it was $80,000 for them to get back up and running, and that was just to get their systems restored after the ransomware and back up functioning. That was an $80,000 bill that took them. And on top of the fees that they had to pay for us, the cybersecurity team, to come out and respond actively to this threat, and get their MSP people out and get all of this stuff going and getting it all moving and getting it going. They were a very small business with maybe 20 staff, maybe 25 or something in that area, and this costed them well over $100,000, and that's pretty scary, to think about. Organizations can face significant legal and regulatory penalties too, depending on the type of sensitive information that they have and what's done with it. So there are real consequences to the shortcuts and the things that you just shouldn't be doing, and we all know it. Everybody in this room knows you shouldn't do it, and everybody in this room, including myself, we have all done one of those shortcut nonsense things at least once. All of us has. And we got lucky. Hopefully everybody got lucky. I got lucky. Hopefully the rest of y'all got lucky too. Nothing went wrong, right? But some people are not that lucky, and it goes really wrong. And I would feel awful if one of my shortcuts caused a business to have to close or people to lose their jobs. That would be awful. So, just do what you're supposed to do. So, in building a stronger defense, I guess is basically what I was just simply saying earlier, is that. But the good news is that these risks can be mitigated by implementing, strong practices, checks and balances. Always have somebody double check your work. If I do something, if I write script, if I write an exploit, any of those types of things, one of these guys are going to double check it for me. If I'm doing something, anything else, one of these guys will double check it for me. If they're doing something, I'm going to double check it for them. We're always going to do that. We're always going to make sure that someone else is looking at our work so that we aren't making the mistakes like that we were talking about previously. And it includes other things too, like ensuring that you have strong policies in place. Making sure those policies are followed, making sure that your multi-factor authentication is in place wherever possible. All of these things make a huge difference in the overall aspect of the job. We can preach until we're blue in the face, but if you don't listen, then it doesn't work out. And even these things aren't foolproof, right? So just because you have a strong password, you have two-factor authentication, that doesn't mean you're bulletproof, right? That just means that if you get shot at, you probably won't get hurt, but you could still, right? That's the thing. I don't know how often you guys get to see some of these new phishing websites that are out there that are popping up, especially clearly AI built. They're really good. Not only do they ask you for your username and your password, but they also ask you for your authentication code, and pass that information right along. It's, you know, they do a pretty good job at it. I haven't even seen it go so far as to try to reprogram your two-factor authentication. They would tell you that it's time to re-add it to your app, and in trying to get you to set it up with them so that they can now essentially control your 2FA on their device. So it's you know, they're getting a lot more clever, and it's because of AI. AI is allowing them to build better looking phishing sites and emails and things like that. That I'll tell you, I've seen one last week that if I didn't know for a fact it was a phishing email or a phishing website, I think it would have got me. It was absolutely flawless, perfect in every way. The URL, one letter off from the original URL. As far as the content, I could not find a difference. I was like I was playing one of those games, you know what I mean? I had them both pull it up with the screen, trying to find like that, the 12 things that was different. It was flawless. I mean, they clearly cloned the site, is what it looked like, and most likely what they did. It was really, really good. So, you know, investing in comprehensive security awareness training for all your staff, that is essential. That is why you guys are all here today. There's always room for a class for cybersecurity. If you're the secretary, you should be taking cybersecurity classes that are going to help you understand how to make a strong password. If you're an IT staff, you should be taking cybersecurity classes that will help you understand the role that you play in patch management and things of that nature that are critical to security. You know, Patch Tuesday. It's either going to be a great day or someone's getting thrown out of a window, right? Like, Patch Tuesday is never, it's always a lottery. You never know how good it's going to go. Of course, this last one didn't go what great, did it? They have a lot of problems, don't they? So, well, that's it. And I'm way early, so I told you I was going to go fast because I don't even want to be up here talking. So, all right. Questions? Any questions? Anybody here on Red Team? Are you looking to join a Red Team? Are you taking classes? Yeah?
I'm interested in learning more about security as a whole, so where should someone like me begin to look at that?
Well, there's a lot of great universities in the area that are you local?
I'm actually at UC right now.
Well, that's where you start, buddy. UC. UC has a great cybersecurity team. You want to meet the director of cybersecurity at UC? He's right here.
I heard that earlier.
Yeah, there he is. So, yeah, you don't even have to enroll, right? You can just transfer over, you know? Yeah, so, yeah, you're already in the right place. But beyond schooling, the most important thing to me and what I look for when I'm hiring is certifications. I want to see certifications. I want to see them current, and I want to see them more so than I care about a degree. I like to see the degree. The degrees are great, but, you know, the degree, you know, I don't know what they taught you, okay? But in a CompTIA or other type of certificate, I know what you're being taught, and I know that you're having to keep that up to date. I know that you can't just learn it in 1995 and still say you're a certified professional. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I would definitely look at certifications.
Other than the trifecta A+, Security Plus, and Net Plus, what would you recommend for certifications?
Oh, there's a lot. So CompTIA now has quite a few. They go way deeper into security. They have their Security Plus, and then they have a lot more. They even have a red teaming certification. Yeah. So they've really upped their game. They have, I wish I could remember all of the names because I literally just looked at it a couple of days ago. We're going to be sponsoring some students paying for their certifications. And so we were at CompTIA looking at all the ones that were there, and they had just a phenomenal list in there for security. But the red teaming one did catch my eye. So that's and that's a CompTIA, so you know it's going to be a pretty good cert. Anybody else? Yeah? All right.
Do you have any security?
Nobody's talking to you. Use Arch. We've discussed this already. All right. All right, is that it? Any other questions?
What's your, all your teams, like, so does each person have their own specialty?
Yeah. So in general, yes. So you know, I'm the automator. I like to do the scripting, all of those things. Everybody has when we set out through it, we set out Jeff as our encyclopedia. So we actually call him Clippy, and that's how I should have introduced him as you know, Microsoft, right? Clippy. He was always extremely helpful. So was Jeff, right? So if you guys see him, say hi, Clippy, when you're walking out through there. You've had that nickname now for how long?
A while.
It's been a while. Yeah. Ever since I've been knowing you, and that's been in at least 15 years, something in that area. Yeah, so yeah, but yes, we all do have specialties, and we all kind of stay in our lane because that's just what makes it better, right? When depending on what we're doing, if we're trying to filter through a network, try to get a map and create where we're going out, that's where we throw Matt, right? We stick Matt in on that kind of stuff. If we find those types of things, Matt will blow through those switches, map out that, and if you're using any type of standard password from the local companies, I don't want to say the name because they're right outside, but they always like to use certain passwords with a 1 in it. Change those because we know those. And if you leave those in your network, I see your shirt. And change those because we all know those, right? And if you leave those in your switches, we're blowing through them. All right, we're coming through there. Like those are, I want to say the second or third passwords we try. Yeah. So and then Jeff is our systems guy. Jeff blows through our systems. He's the one, like I said, out of a massive building with probably 30 copiers. He found the one copier that had the wrong firmware on it. So like everybody has their little thing that we like to do and get into, and it's quite a fun because you really honestly you never know what you're getting into until you go in there, because we can't really walk through the building and all that stuff because they would know who we were, right? So we can't really do that, so we have to learn everything on the fly, and it can be really exciting. It can be fun. Anything else? Yeah. Yeah, so actually we use a proprietary system we enter in our data and our reports. We use a proprietary system that we build ourselves. We actually build a lot of our own custom tooling. Because we are KDE Technology, we also have a whole separate division of our company that does web development. So when we need something, we can throw a whole team of web developers on it to create it for us. So we build a lot of our own custom tooling. Any other question? Yeah.
Going back to the initial title of the talk, why do you think it is that we're not seeing more representation of actual pen testing like Mr. Robot was closest?
It was close.
Recent memory versus the kind of stuff that we see that's just Hollywood.
I think people don't care, honestly. Like the average Joe doesn't know. The average person wouldn't know the difference between NCIS and Mr. Robot. People like us, we know, right? We know that one of those were silly and one of those were extremely accurate. I mean, obviously, they did things very fast, so we know that. But it's a TV show, so we can give them some slack on that. They put effort. It took a lot of effort to make sure that their hacks were legitimate. And I know how much effort that takes. I didn't write a movie or anything, but I did do a book. And it's a fictional book, and it takes place about a cyber attack here in Charleston, West Virginia that occurs. And every piece of tech that's in that book is legitimate. There is no hack that is not real. There is no vulnerability that is not real. All of the technology in that book is real. And I had to fight and fight and fight with my editors because they kept wanting to change things because they make it better. And I'm like, well, you can't change that because that's stupid. That won't, that doesn't make any sense now. And so it just took a lot of effort. So me writing a small book took that much effort. I can only imagine a TV show or a movie, how much effort that would take to have to, stick to it. And so they just make it look more ridiculous to us. I guess it looks cool to everybody else, but I mean, who in the world is sitting around taking that kind of time to build all those user interfaces to like make it look like the buildings in 3 dimensions as you're moving through the network and all that nonsense? Like, nobody's going to take the time to build all that out. That's crazy, right? We just look at the logs. That's all we need. Anything else? Yeah?
You or anyone on your team started the team and jump over, or were you all
Yeah, Jeff. Jeff, you did blue team stuff. You still do, actually. Yeah. So Jeff did. The rest of us, no. We've always been red teaming. But we've also, throughout our careers, have, been systems administrators and network administrators and things of this nature. So, we've done a lot of different work throughout the years on those. But no, Jeff's the only one that comes from blue, which gives us a good, advantage on some of those things. So it helps out a lot. Yeah. Yes?
What is the difference between a blue team and a red team?
So blue team's defending, red team is attacking. Yeah. So in that case, you can go ahead and download the new Kali Linux. It's called Kali Purple. It has a little bit of both in it. A little bit of attack, a little bit of defense. Yeah. It's not great. So don't think it's Kali. They ain't got it there yet. They're working on it, but it ain't there yet. But it's fun. You download it, play with it. It's fun. I wouldn't take it on a job or nothing like that, but it's fun. And I would assume, a few more versions down the road, they'll get it tuned in like they did Kali, and it'll be a nice addition to all the different VMs that we keep on our stuff when we're out working. Anybody else? Yeah. If I'm running out of time, you just tell me. I'm sorry? Oh, on Amazon. Cyber Resilience, and I still have a couple copies, I think, over there in the Lock Lab. We're also running Lock Lab. KD Technology. So we'll all be down in the Lock Lab. You want to come chat with us later on? We'll be down there. What? I can't see. I don't have my glasses on.
It's got 20 minutes.
Oh, still 20 minutes?
You don't have to take all 20 minutes. We have a dance party.
Oh, I am not a public speaker. I'm sure you all can tell this, right? Normally, we do a lot of talks, but I have it broke out to where I only have to do the niche security stuff. Tony does all the rest of the talking. So we'll go ahead and call it here if nobody has any more questions. Oh, yeah.
What search do you look for?
I'm sorry, what is it?
What search do you look for?
What certs? Oh, yeah. So I just want to see, I like to see, depending on what you're applying for, but your Security Plus is a good cert that I'd like to see. I like to see some Cisco certifications, networking certifications. Most of the stuff that we do is going to come through a network, so even though the networking certifications may not be security related, I want to know that you can navigate and move through and move around a network pretty well, So, those are the ones that we like to look for. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming to my talk, and appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.